Before we start, this is a £200/$dollar smartwatch, which makes it cheaper than the Apple Watches and around the same price as a lot of Wear OS watches. If you need something a bit cheaper, you can check out the Ticwatch E in the top right corner, as it's the watch I wear daily. With that out of the way, this is my review of the Fitbit Versa. We'll start off with the design, and this is actually a really nice form. It's not as bulky as the Apple Watch and is quite slim and light, so you can barely feel it on your wrist. You've probably heard that the Versa looks a lot like the child of an Apple Watch and a Pebble Watch, but I'd say it veers more towards the Pebble side of things. It's a squarish but a bit rounded, well-built metal construction, which doesn't really have any scratches on either side, even though it has occasionally brushed against hard surfaces. I'd recommend using a screen protector on any smartwatch really. I have one on my Ticwatch and they're generally quite cheap and don't compromise the overall experience. It's also 5 ATM waterproof, so up to 50 meters or around 165 feet of immersion is supported. Basically, you're supposed to go swimming with this watch, just like the newer Apple Watch models. On the left side there's one button with another two on the right. You use these in combination with the touchscreen to navigate the watch. It's a pretty easy experience, but there still is a learning curve. Nonetheless, it's easy to get the hang of using the back button on the left and the two menu buttons on the right. The touchscreen is a 1.34-inch 300 by 300 pixel LCD screen, which initially had me thinking it was a paler AMOLED display due to the fairly deep blacks. However, now I know those aren't true blacks, which is why there's no ambient display or always on display. It just detects when you raise your wrist or press the left button. It's not a bad screen in terms of how it looks, but it's fairly small and not that impressive. There is an ambient light sensor though for auto brightness. Onto the software experience, this is Fitbit's own OS, and it's functional and mostly clean. The last couple of software updates have made positive changes to the performance, and there are a few apps and services, with an app store bringing a few more options to the table. Notifications have fairly limited interactions if you're using this with an iPhone, so keep in mind you'll be able to do a lot more in that aspect with an Android or on an Apple Watch instead. The main focus is around fitness, of course, so a lot of the software features and shortcuts are related to workouts and stuff like that, but it's a generally fluid experience. The more expensive models also have NFC for storing credit cards and other methods of payment to use. While some of the watch faces don't look that good, there are quite a few really nice ones that manage to be fairly minimalistic while showing you the info you need to see right away. For some reason, the Versa app is quite laggy when switching watch faces and installing apps, on iOS at least, so hopefully that's going to be fixed with an update. The watch itself isn't particularly laggy or snappy, but once again performance has gotten slightly better since the last software update. And yes, there have been quite a few updates since the watch came out in April, and you can expect continued support for the next couple of years at least. Moving on to battery life, it's been nothing but awesome from the beginning. This is one of the categories you really need to think about if you're considering getting the Versa over the Apple Watch, as this thing can last about 5 days on a single charge, in moderate real-world use. It really is one of the best things about this device, and you even get an email when you need to charge it. The included charging dock is a bit weird, as you need to place it on its side during charging, as the watch band makes it pretty much impossible to use the dock otherwise. The charger is integrated into the dock, so you have to use it, and this is a pretty weird design flaw. Watching this, I'm sure you realise I'm not doing anything wrong. The watch band is ergonomically shaped and won't bend backwards enough to allow the dock to sit flat as it seems to have been intended to. Because of this, I can't really put the watch flat on a surface by itself either. Anyway, the battery goes from 0 to 100% in about 90 minutes, definitely never more than 2 hours, so you should be good tossing the Versa on the charger before bed once every 4 or 5 days. Now onto some extra things I have to mention. There's no mic or speaker, so no matter what phone you pair this watch with, you won't be able to take calls, send voice messages, or record text. The lack of a speaker isn't that big of a deal otherwise, since it's not like you'll be watching YouTube videos on here. The heart rate monitor seems to be very accurate. In fact, in the gym, it showed the same exact heart readings as the professional gym equipment itself. So the Versa won't let you down in this category. The watch doesn't have GPS built in, as it would significantly cut down on the amazing battery life, but it uses your phone's GPS, which is fine in my opinion. The sleep data the watch collects seems to be extremely accurate and diversified. It even tells you what the times are when you are actually awake during the night. Apparently, we all wake up at night for various periods of time, but we don't remember those moments in the morning. I find that quite interesting actually. Moving on, notifications are quite limited when paired with an iPhone, as I mentioned before. It vibrates when you get an iMessage and displays it on the screen, but you can't reply on the watch. It's synced to your email and calendar app as well, so you also get notifications for emails and meetings. However, for some reason, it doesn't notify you for messages you get on WhatsApp or Facebook Messenger. It does vibrate for calls though, and you can answer on the watch. Actually, that answers on the phone, which I guess can be handy when your phone is not within your immediate reach and you want to quickly pick up the call as you're going to get it. Integration with Android is a lot better, and Fitbit is currently working on bringing quick text replies to Versa owners with Android devices. Unlike other fitness watches and trackers, this one doesn't integrate with Apple's Health app, so you're stuck with either Fitbit's apps and services or manually inputting the values into Apple Health, which would be a pretty strenuous chore to do almost daily. Fitbit also introduced an app about 2 months ago dedicated to women's health, but once again this cannot be synced with Apple Health. Unlike what some people think, this isn't Fitbit's first smartwatch. Before this, they came out with the Ionic, which was accused of being an Apple Watch copy, and before that, the somewhat strange Blaze. The important thing to think about when considering this watch is what you're going to use it for. If you're not super into health and fitness, there are smartwatches out there that are a lot smarter at everything else. Definitely think about the Apple Watch if you're an iPhone user, but just make sure you know what you're getting yourself into. Overall, this is a really nice smartwatch from Fitbit. So choose your preferred color at the link in the description and feel free to go for it if this is the kind of experience you want. I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe, as a lot of time and work went into this video. Thanks for watching Tech Techo, and I'll catch you in the next one.